Hello, and welcome to the show, Science Today. I'm Sally Spring. And on this episode, we will be talking to Dr. Fox, a scientist from British Columbia, about genetic engineering in the foods we eat.
Hello, I'm glad I could be here.
So, Dr. Fox, what exactly is genetic engineering?
Well, genetic engineering is a skill that was developed allowing us to modify genes independently. One gene at a time. Genetic engineering is when we take the gene of one living organism and add it to another living organism to change its traits and qualities.
Can you explain to us how this transferring of genes is done?
Sure, I can. Gene transferring begins with taking a specific gene and cropping it from one organism, then inserting it into another. The DNA containing the gene wanted is first isolated, then special enzymes, called restriction endonucleases, take on the role of cutting out the desired gene. We then make an expression cassette. An expression cassette is material surrounding the gene so that the original cell will know where the gene starts and ends, or the promoter and terminator. Eventually, the expression cassette is put into a plasmid and millions of copies are made. Copies are then introduced to the host cell and inserted into the genome. This cell has now obtained the new gene and will begin to replicate, eventually generating new plants with the same genes.
Wow! Can you explain what the point of genetic engineering is? I mean, why are we even wanting to change the genes of crops? What's wrong with the way they are now?
Good questions. The point of genetic engineering is to modify, revise and make the genes of a crop better. Some reasons to change the genes are to make crops more pest-resistant, herbicide-resistant, disease-resistant, have a higher cold tolerance, a higher drought tolerance, a higher nutritional value, and to make them better pharmaceuticals. Changing these specific things will allow the crops to survive better in harsher conditions and save farmers money, as well as cut down on the chemicals being used every year.
I see. That makes sense. But why can't we continue to change them naturally, generation by generation like people a long time ago used to do?
Naturally letting the genes improve is not greatly effective because it takes a very long time to change one gene even the tiniest bit, and then the results are not always accurate to what we want.
Wow. Okay, now we know all the good reasons, but nothing is perfect. What are downsides and problems this genetic modification is causing and can cause in the future?
Currently, there are many protest groups protesting many different topics. Some of the more prominent protests are: genetic engineering will produce a protein that will cause allergic reactions in people. The BART insecticide produced in plant tissue will poison people eating it. Crops, especially fruits, produced will be tasteless or will taste bad. Genetically modified crops will have a harmful effect on wild plants and animals. Genetically engineered crops will have a harmful effect on natural ecosystems. Genetic engineering is unnatural and will produce organisms that could never come from nature. The viral and bacterial genes used may be combined in the wild and form some deadly new pathogens. Genetically engineered crops are an attempt by large corporations to obtain a monopoly on seed production and dominate the world. We don't need genetic engineering, we need to develop more efficient ways of food distribution. And that genetic engineering is evil.
Are all the protests valid points with supportive facts?
No, not all of them. As scientists are still experimenting with the crops and we are aware of the risks when genetically engineering plants. However, they aren't always as bad as the protesters make them out to be. It is possible that the new genes added to crops will create a new protein that causes allergic reactions. It is also possible that the new genes could spread out into the wild and defeat the purpose of some work, such as herbicide resistance. But these crops will not have a strong effect on a natural ecosystem or create unnatural plants, since all the genes are naturally found.
Then, why are there so many protests?
Many people, mostly naturalists, believe that changing things like crops is dangerous for an environment and ecosystem, but we have been doing this for as long as humans have been around, just at a slower pace. Other people are just afraid of change.
Interesting. What is your opinion? Do you side against it, or for it?
I think we need to be cautious with what we are doing and be aware of all the consequences as well as the rewards. I think we should most definitely spend time researching and investigate the whole topic. I just think we need to be careful.
Alright then, thank you very much for your time, Dr. Fox. Once again, I'm Sally Spring and this is Science Today. Don't forget to tune in next week when we talk about changing human DNA.